All right, here we are. Drake's new album, Scorpion, just dropped. I'm gonna go over it a little bit. Um, it was a very long album, as well as being long awaited. So the album had 25 songs in total. It was a double album, which that news probably broke around Wednesday. Album dropped Thursday night or midnight, probably if you're on the East Coast. Um, but a lot has been going on prior to the release of this album. We all know, if we were following what Pusha T said on his diss track to Drake, once Drake delivered a diss in response to a song that was on Pusha T's Daytona album. In Pusha T's retaliation diss song, Life of Adonis or Adidon, I can't remember. He basically lets the world know that Drake has a child that he has not been admitting to. So we've all been kind of awaiting the response of Drake to see if he would address it. He did put out a public statement to address the cover art for Pusha T's diss song, which had Drake doing blackface. He released a statement, I believe on Instagram, where he wrote within his notes on his phone and posted that and kind of explained it, but he didn't say anything about the child. Also, he didn't even make a retaliation diss song, so Drake was on the clock. But I'll jump into the album, and the stuff with the child will come up throughout my review. But first, I want to start by saying, this is a double album, so Drake is stepping in the rare air and putting out a double album, which a few hip hop artists have done. A couple of notable rap double albums. I'm gonna go with Big's Life After Death, Tupac's All Eyes on Me, Nelly's Sweatsuit. Another good one is Outkast, The Love Below, and Speaker Box. And then also I want to throw in an honorable mention because Future last year released his self-titled Future album, and then a week later came out with the Hendrix. Very comparable to this new Drake project, which has side A and side B. The difference mainly between the two sides is side A is fully hip hop, nothing but hip hop rap tracks. Side B, nothing but those kind of singing songs that Drake does. I don't even know if you want to call it R&B. You can. It's pretty similar to that, but I wouldn't fully claim it as R&B because Drake does a lot of harmonizing, rapping while singing, but much more melodic beats, much more of a mellow feel, much more of an emotional, vulnerable feel on side B. But outside of that, I kind of run down every song briefly. We all know Drake put out a couple of hits prior to the album releasing, so I won't go over those much. But I want to start by saying within side A, Drake hardly mentions Cash Money at all. He doesn't have a Nicki Minaj or Lil Wayne feature throughout side A, nor does he mention them or Baby or Birdman or anything along those lines. The first song on there is Survival. It's just about 2 minutes or so. It's like a brief little intro into the world we're about to step in of all of Drake's problems, whether it be anything pertaining to the Pusha T situation, his personal life, his romantic life. It's kind of just like you just putting your foot in. Just it's a hot day outside, the pool. You just coming out, you just tapping your little toe in there. That's what the first track, Survival, is. Then we go into Nonstop, hard beat. A line that caught my attention is how I go from 6 to 23 like LeBron. I thought that was funny because we all know Drake is like a ambassador for the Raptors, and they just picked up a new name this year from Skip, Baby Dinosaurs. Also, I believe from Game 2, they picked up another name in the city, LeBronto. They also caught a very nice glimpse of Drake looking up at the jumbo screen and captioned it Bron's Plan. So I thought that was funny. But throughout the Nonstop song, he's doing a little bit of flexing. He also does this cool thing where he's rapping and then he throws in like undertone ad libs. between his bars. I thought that that was pretty cool. Next track, track number 3 is Elevate. I thought it was a nice blend of rapping and singing. Pretty cool beat. Talking about his come up on that track. Doesn't stand out too much. Emotionless. Now this is the track. We finally get to a relevant track that addresses some of the things that we have all been wanting to know. So it has some pretty nice bars where he was going in on certain things, but then it got serious near the later half of the song. Now, this song samples a Mariah Carey sample from her Emotion song, which is appropriate since the name of the song is Emotionless. But it addresses his kid situation. So I'll quote him. He says, "I wasn't hiding my kid from the world. I was hiding the world from my kid." So at that moment, he addresses the situation and admits that he does have a child. Pretty much makes every other part of the song irrelevant, even though it's a really good song. It has a really good beat, soulful beat. It's a fire track, so this may go down as one of those quintessential Drake songs. Then it leads into God's Plan. It was a nice segue. Even though the line, "I only love my bed and my mom," now seems a little tasteless considering he has a child. But we'll get into that later on. He has more lyrics to kind of address the situation. Next song after God's Plan was "I'm Upset." We all know that's a banger that came out before the album dropped. Then we have this track, 8 out of 10. He's just kind of flowing, talking a little shit on this track. It's another nice soulful beat. The highlight of this song is definitely going to be the Plies insert, which is at the end of the song, where Plies has recently had a career adjustment to where he doesn't necessarily focus more so on his music, but his social commentary and cooning over Instagram. So I'm sure you all remember it. If not, you've probably seen it floating around on social media now that it's become relevant again, where he just goes on and talking about, I didn't come here to argue with you. You big man. No. I want money. A lot of money. I don't want to argue with you. And he goes on and he places at the end of the song. Now, I mean, you could say that this is possibly a Pusha T shot, because Drake never responded and Pusha T took it kind of far. So it's possible that this was his shot at Pusha T. Outside of that, there was no other real type of thing that I could point out that addresses Pusha T's aggressive lyrical behavior directed at Drake. But that's pretty much all we got to like a subliminal shot at Pusha T from a Plies Instagram video. Next, leading in from 8 out of 10, going into Mob Ties. Now this song is really high energy. Travis Scott alluded to maybe possibly being featured on here. I didn't hear him, even though the ad-libs and just the style of the song is really similar to what you may get from Travis Scott or even Quavo as their styles kind of mesh together. They even did a dual project at the end of 2017. So definitely get that type of feel on that song. Drake's really just showing his versatility. He can basically prevail on any type of song, rap song or R&B. He can do everything. So he was kind of just showing that off throughout that song. Can't Take a Joke. Beat is fire. Beats are fire all throughout this album, honestly. But it was funny when I was listening to this song for the first time as I was going through the album, I realized that I don't really believe anything that Drake says when it pertains to him being an underdog. He mentions living by a code. I believe he mentions that within this song. And I don't know what code he lives by because the dude, had a child with some rando chick and then doesn't want to act like it exists. And I don't know what code this dude lives by. I think he's funny. The song prior to this was called Mob Ties. I don't know if that's a reference to, how he moves or the people he surrounds himself with, because he does not do any of the dirty work. Charlemagne has even addressed this on various occasions, talking about this song he had on Take Care. Uh, you gonna mess me around and make me catch a body like that. Okay, Drake not catching no bodies. Then on Stay Scheming, might look light, but we heavy though. You think Drake will pull some like that? You never know. Okay, Drake not catching any bodies. So the code, not really buying into it. Also, in this Can't Take a Joke, I thought it was appropriate to kind of bring this up. I have a friend who says that Drake reminds him of Johnny Fontaine from The Godfather. And if you all aren't familiar with the first scene or the first act, really, of The Godfather, when Vito Corleone is welcoming in people because it's what you're supposed to do when your daughter's getting married, and you can't turn down any like favor, basically. So people were coming in and asking favors of the Don. And then Johnny Fontaine comes in and serenades the women, makes a grand entrance, then goes in to meet with the Godfather, and he's crying and boo-hooing because he can't get this role he wants in Hollywood. Vito shakes him up like, act like a man. Come on. And mocks him, basically. I kind of I kind of envisioned that's how Jay Prince went and talked to Drake after Pusha T just, messed up his whole world. But it's kind of actually accurate, if I do say so myself. Going into the next song, Sandra's Rose, definitely, is named after his mom. His mom owned a flower shop. He says that he was her rose, he's chosen, roses aren't picked, things of this nature. So this had another soulful beat on there. I thought that this was going to be an ode to his mom, but it's basically more so Drake just talking about himself. So Sandra's Rose is basically Drake. So it's Sandra's Rose, a.k.a. Drake, because the whole song was basically about himself. Talk Up, okay, we get to the basically one feature that we have on this side A track, which comes from Jay-Z. The beat is hard. Drake's whole verse is irrelevant. The best part of the song is Jay-Z's verse. A quotable line is, first album, 26, I ain't need no deal. That's just Jay talking his shit. I love it. He's back on his coke shit on this song, taking a step away from his 444 and his recent project with his wife, Beyonce. So he was going in, like he was snapping on this. And then also he had he had another quotable line. I ain't on the gram, they record who I am. And then he left us with this, which is really recent. I was surprised at how recent this was because XXX Tentacion passed away, I believe like 2 weeks ago or so. And so he puts in this line because, X is from Florida, as well as where Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman. So he says this line, y'all kill X and let Zimmerman live, streets is done. That's a powerful line because whoever pushed the button on X, somebody needed to push the button on George Zimmerman. I don't wish death on anybody, but if y'all gonna kill, a 20-year-old kid, up-and-coming rapper over I don't know what, and let this man, George Zimmerman, walk around the street like he didn't do anything wrong, I don't know. The Florida people on some other stuff. But that was a really good song. One of the best songs from side A, in my opinion, outside of, the hit God's Plan and the banger I'm Upset. This is a really good song that we just got a chance to listen to for the first time. Closing out with Is There More? That is the outro song to this side A. It definitely has an outro vibe. He shouts out Houston, which he always does, usually on every project. Houston women, I wine and dine and take to the house. My moral compass is janky. It breaks out in the South. So, he's admitting when he comes out to Houston, he got to just get some of that Southern cuisine. And by Southern cuisine, I mean our down South women. I guess that's a guilty pleasure of his, which he admits there. Also, he says a very, very kind of eye-grabbing, ear-grabbing line. As soon as this album dropped, I'm out the deal. In the house playing D'Angelo, how does it feel? Now that line definitely caught my attention because of the fact that is he saying that once his album is done that he's gonna leave Cash Money? I don't know. Those are fighting words to Birdman, and I ain't hear Birdman say one ad lib, or I ain't hear Birdman reference one time throughout side A or side B. So I thought that was very interesting. And then it closes out with a rendition of the first verse on Aaliyah's "More Than a Woman" by another artist, Nye Palm, I believe. I thought it was Aaliyah at first, but I looked it up, and it was this other artist that Drake has worked with from his More Life project. But yeah, side A, I mean, it was cool. It was all rap, so Drizzy was going in, delivering some bars. It was mostly Drizzy on side A, not a lot of features. Really, the only feature was Jay-Z. So it was about, what was it? I think 12 tracks, because side B was 13. But, I enjoyed it. It didn't really have a skip on there. I mean, you could skip I'm Upset or God's Plan because of those are relatively new, but other than that, it didn't have a song on there that I would just skip if I'm listening to the album. So it's pretty good. Going into side B, which of course are the softer songs, which in my opinion is when Drake is at his best, because Drake is at his best when he's being emotional and vulnerable, and that's what you get on side B, all emotional and vulnerable cuts. Starting off with Peak, I got instant Party Next Door vibes. Almost felt like a Marvin's Room remix with this woman in the background kind of talking like they were on Marvin's Room. He was constantly saying, "You gonna make me turn up on you," whatever that means. I thought it had a really cool sound effect in this track. It was like a synthesizer type of sound effect. It was like between the break between the chorus and the verses, so it was like a gap in the song where that's placed in. I really like that. Sounded familiar to how Aaliyah's 4-page letter ends. If you go and listen to that song at the end, they all have like this synthesizer sound that Timbaland probably put in there. It sounded really similar to that, and it would make sense if that was where he got it from, because side A, the last song closes with a rendition of Aaliyah, so only appropriate. Going into the second track on this side B, Summer Games. It's on this emotional pop. This is like a pop song. I can imagine maybe a DJ remixing it and making it into a club banger possibly. The 808 drums was hard. Remind me of Love Lockdown from Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks album. But other than that, I would skip this song. So this is probably like the first skip. I listened to the entire thing all the way through, but as time goes on and I give this multiple runs, that can definitely be a skip track for me. Going into track number 3, Jaded. Fire song, very emotional, very baby I want you back type of feel. The beat is even jaded and harsh and raw. He admits all throughout the song that he's jaded from this woman. Man, this dude had like a Johnny Gill, like my, like please, please, please type of vibe. Like, I don't know, he's begging this woman back. A slight Ty Dolla $ign drop in. We got Ty Dolla $ign doing the harmonizing on this track, which feels great. I love hearing Ty Dolla $ign on the track. Quotable line from here: "I want to be around while you're chasing. You want to hit me up when you make it. You'll try and come back when you're famous." Who he's referencing, I don't know. Drake, be all over the place with his women, but this track is definitely fire. I like it a lot. Going into the next track, track number 4, Nice for What. We've all heard it. Shout out to the NO. He's definitely bigging up the NO on this side B in general to me, and I'll get into a little bit into more of that later. It's really the only time also Lil Wayne is referenced, because he starts off with the song by saying Lil Louisiana shit, and then also Gotta Get Your Roll On. That's Big Time is Get Your Roll On. So he incorporated all of New Orleans into that song, basically, even having the Big Frida kind of placed within there as well. That's that person speaking throughout there. So also can't forget this fire Lauryn Hill sample from the X Factor song. Definitely what makes the song stand out outside of all of the New Orleans incorporation. Leading into this next song, Finesse. To me, this was like almost on some Genuine Usher type vibe. Definitely got that type of vibe from the song. You Stay on My Mind. Like It's a nice, smooth song. I really like that one as well. Going into Ratchet Happy Birthday, it's another song that sounds like really pop. He had a really corny line in here that just caught my attention. Hotter than Anita, Bacon Baby. So it's a play on Anita Baker, which is probably one of my favorite singers of all time. And he throws that in there. It's a corny song. And he also uses auto-tune in there. So that was weird because I've never really heard him use auto-tune. Going into That's How You Feel. Nice blend of rapping and singing over a nice beat. The highlight of this song is definitely the Nicki inserts from, I guess, a live concert of hers. He throws two different times. She spits some bars in the live concert, and it's placed appropriately throughout the song. Really makes the song better than what it was with just Drake. Going into the In My Feelings song. So he places another song within this side B of his Scorpion album to where he's incorporating more NO themes. But this song is arguably better than Nice for What because it's not, Nice for What is definitely for the hot girls. It's definitely for the women, That's the vibe for Nice for What. It's not for guys at all. But this song, I don't know. Like, this song could really, it has no gender preference in my opinion. Also, he throws in like a Lil Wayne, like kind of similar to how he did with Nicki. But this line that he throws in from Lil Wayne is from a song that we all remember, Lollipop. So he's like, the nigga that she with can't hit. Well, I'ma hit it like I can't miss. I bring that ass back. So that's running throughout the song at the end though. So that comes in throughout the end. Also, he has the You're the One from Shorty Magnolia. So that's a nice little feature he threw in there rather than the big Frida that he got within Nice for What. And that could be bigging up Cash Money because she was signed to Cash Money a while ago. R.I.P. To her. Also a quotable line from here. I don't even care. I need a photo with Drake because my Instagram is weak as fuck. Now that comes in at the end. Drake placed a lot of nice little things that are relevant within hip hop culture and just social media and all that stuff. But that line is from Atlanta. If y'all remember the episode where Van, which is Earn, Childish Gambino's baby mom's character, they go to like Drake's house supposedly and find out Drake's not even there, and they have like a cutout of Drake, and women will take pictures with it just to like boost their Instagram, so they throw that in there. So I thought that was funny because it lets you know that Drake actually watches the show Atlanta and maybe like approved that Donald Glover did within that episode. So I thought that was funny. And then we get to the song that I know that I was definitely looking forward to hearing. He has a Michael Jackson feature on this side B on the song Don't Matter to Me. And so this is supposed to be like, I've never heard this from Michael Jackson. So this is supposed to be like original content. And at first listening to it, it didn't even quite sound like Michael Jackson. But as I've started to listen to it more, maybe it was Michael Jackson as he got older in his life. Because it definitely doesn't sound like the youthful Michael Jackson. So if he got the clearance from Mike's family to go ahead and use this material, salute to him because, he did a really good job with it. I don't know if the song's going to become a hit, but it was definitely cool to kind of hear, Michael Jackson within a recent and relevant song. Kind of has like if you listen to Michael Jackson on the Bad album, Liberian Girl, kind of has that vibe to me with like this island tropical instrumentation. Definitely a bold move by Drake to throw Michael Jackson on his album. So, we'll see how it goes, but the song is pretty good. It's not bad at all, but I'll see how it picks up. Leading into After Dark. Now, this is a 90s vibe all the way, R&B. You got Ty Dolla $ign on here. He uses Static Major as well. Rest in peace to him. He was featured on Lil Wayne's Lollipop and died shortly after. He was making waves like in the 90s, early 2000s. But he places him within this song. The song is fire. Also, Drake was brilliant with throwing in these little cultural pieces at the end of some of his songs. So at the end of this song, he throws in a Quiet Storm radio jockey, kind of just leading into his next track, you know how they do. So he's coming in with a smooth voice, monotone, baritone voice. I thought that was just so funny because, you know, growing up in Houston, my parents would definitely listen to Quiet Storm at night. That's what would come on the black radio station at night, Quiet Storm, and they play like slow love songs. So I thought that was very funny because it was appropriate to go after this After Dark song because that's definitely the vibe it was on. And then we get a full verse from Ty Dolla $ign, which is much appreciated. Ty Dolla $ign has been featured on a lot of different things throughout the summer. He popped up on Jay-Z and Beyonce's project, Everything Is Love. He was placed throughout a couple of tracks throughout what Kanye was doing with his big projects, the 4 big projects he put out. He was even on Tiana Taylor's album, I believe. So he's been all over the place this summer, but it was nice to hear him have a verse on this. Also, leading into Final Fantasy, this is coming right off of After Dark. This is a real freaky joint. You know, he's going in, talking about what he want to do with this woman. It reminds me a little bit of how he went in on J. Cole's In the Morning. Had a similar vibe to me. Also, he incorporates more poking fun at himself about this child situation. It was kind of funny. They throw in like this little audio clip of people saying, "Who's that baby look like?" And then someone says, "Drake," and then everybody busts out laughing. So maybe he's taking it lightly, I don't know, but he throws that in there, which is definitely relevant in terms of his situation with this child he's been hiding from the public. Leading into the last song, the outro of the album, the outro of Side B, March 14th. Don't quite know the relevance of this date yet. It is the longest song on the album. It's over 5 minutes. And he is ripping his own life, or revealing it, I should say, maybe revealing his thoughts and his minds throughout the first minute or so of this song, basically talking about his child. A line that really stood out to me was, "She not my lover like Billie Jean, but the kid is mine." Whoa. And then he talks about, you know, how stupid he feels for giving his parents hell, for them not being able to work their stuff out and being single parents, and now look at the situation that he's in. Another line that stood out to me was, "I only met you one time, introduced you to Saint Nick. I think he must have bought you like 20 gifts." So he's basically letting us know that he's only interacted with his child once. Now, I don't know if that's still the case at this point, but for that to have been the case, it's really kind of sad, you know, that he's going through this situation where he didn't believe the child was his, it sounds like, and was reluctant to have it within his life, and has only been around it once because he lives a busy life. He probably wasn't planning to have a child, seeing as that he's not with the mother and probably has no intentions of being with the mother. He also gets into that, how the relationship just came out of thin air. They had only met a couple of times, but it only took one time to impregnate her. And it was like, damn. Woo. Nas addressed something recently on his last album. Was like, be careful who you get pregnant. That's long-term stressing. And, you know, I hope Drake just heard that. Well, it's too late anyway, but, you know, shout out to Nas for that. But let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The song changes at the end of March 14 and goes into like more of a ballad. The beat changes a little bit. I like when songs change midway through and feel like two different songs. So it does that throughout here. But I have to say, after listening to this entire album, I know for certain that Pusha T changed the direction of this album slightly, because I know that he was not going to talk about this child situation that much if Pusha T didn't out him. So that was definitely very interesting to hear him kind of divulge on his life and kind of go into detail about everything that he's going through in the entire situation. He hardly addresses Pusha T, but I have to say that definitely can tell that Pusha T influenced the outcome of this album. Also, another thing I pulled from this album is like, I touched on it briefly. He incorporated a lot of New Orleans music, especially on Side B. And this isn't the first time that Drake has done that. He started it, I believe, on Take Care with the practice song, and then he had the Juvenile sample throughout that song with the Back That Ass Up. And then he does it again on the Views album where he has Child's Play, and then he incorporates Rode That Dick Like a Soldier on that song. I don't know if he's incorporating New Orleans because he actually loves the culture, vibes with the music, or he's doing it because he signed to Cash Money. Lil Wayne was his hero or mentor or whatever. Birdman, same story there. So I don't know if he's just paying homage to where Cash Money Records originated from, or if he really just messes with the culture. Either way, as a mainstream artist, he does that the best, incorporating the music that people in New Orleans listen to at the club, and that's just immersed within their culture. He takes that and puts it into his music and makes a new thing. He does that the best. I've never really heard anyone outside of New Orleans does it as well as Drake does. That's one thing I picked out of this album. Outside of that, how did I skip over the Blue Tent song? I have to go back to that because that's the only song on there where he has Future feature. It's right in between That's How You Feel, where he throws a Nicki insert, and In My Feelings, where he's doing that second New Orleans song. But yeah, Blue Tent definitely had a groovy vibe, and it had Future in it. It was reminiscent of the What a Time to Be Alive era back in 2015. He even says What a Time to Be Alive, so maybe he was getting those vibes as well. Future doesn't have a verse on here, he just says a couple of lines, but that song was definitely hot. I'm sorry I got off track there, but definitely had to talk about that because that's one of my favorite songs on side B. Overall, I enjoyed side B a little bit more than side A because on side B there was only one song on there that we had heard previously before, which was Nice for What, out of the 13 tracks. And then with side A, we had 12 tracks. However, we had heard God's Plan and I'm Upset. So side B had 2 skip songs that I would skip on there. Side A had no songs I would skip, but I believe Drake is just at his best when he's being emotional and vulnerable, and that's what you get from side B, and you get way more collaborations on side B. Like I said before, you get Ty Dolla $ign, you get the Michael Jackson feature, you get Future, you get the Nicki Minaj inserts, the Lil Wayne inserts, the New Orleans incorporation, a lot more samples with the Lauryn Hill and the Static Major. And side B is just it for me. I like that one more than side A. But in terms of the entire body of work, I would have to give this album a 7.5 out of 10. But the album is really good. I enjoyed it. And I'm going to step out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that it's been the best rap album, rap R&B album, whatever you want to call it, of 2018. It blows out the water everything Kanye did in terms of his 4 big projects, just because it's so much music. It's 25 songs, while Kanye was kind of going on this thing of, just having 7 songs on each. So it blows that out the water because, quite honestly, Kanye's projects kind of left you wanting more, but none of his projects were really related to the other. The closest ones were probably Kanye's Ye and the Kids See Ghosts with Kanye and Kid Cudi. Those are probably the 2 most related albums of all the ones he produced. However, the music that we're getting on this Scorpion album is just better than anything else that's come out. The Everything Is Love album from Jay-Z and Beyonce was really great, but this just feels a little bit more important, honestly. I mean, I gotta be honest. He has the #1 hit on here already with God's Plan, as well as Nice for What. So this album is just loaded. It has a couple of songs on there that I would skip, and I probably won't listen to much after I keep on listening to the album. But outside of that, This album's really good. I'm almost willing to put it in Drake's top 3. My personal preference for his best albums is, of course, Take Care, which is usually undisputed by people. And then Views has somehow slipped into the top 3. I've grown to really like that album. I put that one at 2. And as of now, I would put this Scorpion album, longest album he's ever done. It was an hour and 30 minutes. I'm gonna say it's not an easy listen. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it just runs long. You'll probably start breaking it in and starting on side A and finishing with side A, or starting with side B, vice versa, because it's just so long. But other than that, it's really great. It has a lot of good content. He drops a lot of bombshells about his personal life. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to see if anything else that comes out this year can top this project. But as of now, this is probably the best project that we've gotten from a rap artist this year. Really enjoyed it. 7.5 out of 10.